Today we explore the concept of reading and critical reading. Reading is an interactive process that involves prior knowledge being activated to understand a text. The first stage of reading is pre-reading, which is the stage where you review the text and you skim through just to get a general idea of what the text is all about. The second stage is called while reading or during reading, where you engage actively with the material and the text. You ask questions and connect ideas. The third stage is post-reading, where you reflect, you summarize, and make interpretations of whatever the text has been saying. Some of the types of reading skills that are involved include skimming, which is browsing through the text, looking at the headings, looking at the subheadings, looking at any pictures, looking at any images, graphs, or anything that stands out in the text. And this is important to understand in general terms what the text is all about. And then you have scanning, which you do when you're looking for specific information in a text. And then you also have light reading. So light reading involves reading for leisure at a very slow pace. The next is close reading, which is a detailed type of reading. And this is where you pay particular attention to the arguments, to the evidence that is presented in the text. When you have read a text, we usually make notes. Making notes is simply the process of identifying the main ideas, the main points, or the main arguments that the author raises in a particular text. So what that simply means is that as you read a text, you will extract those main ideas so that you have an understanding of the text. Note making in most cases is done in form of an outline. And there are two types of outlines that I usually recommend, and they are easy for students to follow. There is the outline which uses the decimal numbering system, such as 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, with attendant subheadings. You can also use another outline which has a combination of Roman numerals, Arabic numerals, letters of the alphabet, small letters of the alphabet, and small case of the Roman numerals. So depending on what works for you, you can choose which of these outlining systems works better for you to present your notes. The format of an outline should have the following elements: the title, the headings, the subheadings. Points should be indented and now. This structure helps the reader to understand the hierarchy of the text or the points that you have extracted from the passage. These notes or this outline that you make from a text should help you to write a summary. A summary is simply a paragraph that contains main ideas from a text that you just read. So what we mean by that is that when you have read a text critically, you've identified the main ideas, and you've written these ideas in outline format, you can now translate these into a short paragraph where you present these ideas. You paraphrase these ideas and you identify the source of the paraphrase so that the person who reads the summary can understand exactly what the argument was. In addition to this, there is a concept of critical reading which is very important in academic circles. Critical reading involves questioning, analyzing, and evaluating. So you question ideas, you question assumptions in the text, you analyze the text for structure, for rhetorical strategies that the writer employed. You evaluate the sources to determine if the sources used present fact, opinion, or they are interpretative. Critical reading is not just about what is written, but why it is written and how the author support their claim or position. Critical reading does not mean being dismissive or being negative towards a text that you have read or a text that you are reading. It simply means carefully examining the text, assessing the structure, assessing the opinions, assessing the arguments, and even the evidence that the writer presents in a particular text. Reading means you are not just accepting passively what others have said, but you are passing judgment on what they have said by evaluating the sources, the argument, and even the purpose why the author wrote that particular text.